Without further ado, let's get Bleepbot to introduce himself and say a little bit about VPunks and what he does.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Tyler. So Virtual Bleed is basically a sarcastic robot on the internet who has a passion for blockchain and crypto. I've been in this space for many years, but I've also launched blockchain projects for my main work in the finance sector, and I've also developed and taught a number of cryptocurrency and blockchain-related courses myself, mainly focused on education and awareness. So I'm certainly not the technical guy. But I do still feel that there is still a lot of misconception around blockchain, and it still needs a lot of demystification. And besides that, my main passion in blockchain lies in the VeChain ecosystem. I've been a really hard fan of the VeChain way of working and what they are developing and achieving. And I've also been a personal safe haven fan since discovering it, I think, somewhere in the course of 2008, so before your node program even existed. Um, Now, I am also an art collector, and hence my interest in the NFT space. But previously, I was also a physical art collector, and that was also one of the reasons why I was so intrigued with the NFT space and what blockchain is doing to help over there. Because have you ever seen a certificate of authenticity, for example, on a painting that you buy, on our most old school art? It's a piece of paper if you're lucky. It's very easy to forge. You have basically no history, no provenance. If you lose it, it's lost. There is no traceability. And to transfer ownership, well, you need to physically meet with the new owner. And I indeed think that that is something revolutionary in the NFT space, where we will see a lot more coming in the future. So indeed, nowadays, NFTs, it's yet again, just like blockchain in the old days, it's always about Bitcoin and mass energy consumption. And now NFTs, people that know a little bit about it often say, those funny pictures on the internet which people pay a lot of money for. This is not just that. It's actually those funny pictures for me that get things started. It will get the big audience in. It will bring in real artists. It will bring in real projects. And it will really merit its space in the art industry. So we're really at the baby step phase right now. I think that's indeed good for an introduction on myself.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. And it is very intriguing how NFTs are going to shape and evolve the world around us. Because, like you said, whenever it comes to certificates of authentic, look, I can't even say that word right now. Authentication. um,
Authenticity.
yeah, authenticity. That's an easier way to say it. But when it comes to that, and you put it inside in the form of an NFT, it creates its own token ID on the blockchain, and there's no refuting that, and you can't ever replicate that because it has its own identity from then on out, and it'll never disappear. Now, you might lose the access to that NFT, and that's part of the reason why we're here today to talk about how Inheritee can allow people to ensure that the access of their wallet storing the NFTs within the VPunks ecosystem never gets lost. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Inheritee. It's a Web3 platform that essentially allows a user to create a safe ID account and log in, input all of their inheritable data such as private keys, mnemonic phrases, secrets, whatever it might be, even song lyrics, recipes, yeah. And whenever that data gets inputted, it's encrypted utilizing military grade encryption, AES 256. And after it's encrypted, it gets fragmented into multiple shares. And those shares are then stored mostly on cold storage hardware devices, our safe key devices, while the validator and backup shares are stored on the blockchain, currently the VeChain blockchain. But as we expand to other chains in the future with the help of SafeSwap, people will be able to establish their inheritance and personal backup plans on other chains such as Binance Smart Chain, Matic, Ethereum, etc. And what's really going to help with the adoption of these semi integrations, because that's essentially what we're doing here with VPunks, it's not a full integration to where you can establish a plan without leaving their platform. It's going to redirect you to the Inheritee platform, and then you're going to log in with your Safe ID account and create the plan from the Inheritee platform itself. So once we're able to get Inheritee mobile, which was what I was getting towards next, fully developed and integrated to where people can use that to store their beneficiary plan shares and tell their heirs, hey, download this application, log in with your Safe ID, and claim your plan shares for the inheritance plan in the future. That's going to allow the barriers of mass adoption to be reduced greatly and help these semi integrations shine the best. Because currently, after we get the semi integration installed, there is still going to be a lag time that the user is going to be able to establish a plan because yes, they can go get the 10,000 SHA off the market, instantaneously send it to their Comet wallet and have it ready, but they're going to have to wait for their SafeKey devices to come in the mail. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly just to where people would understand that as we roll out other product extensions for the Inherity suite, it's going to allow all these integrations to really show their worth. But yeah, that's how Inherity works in a nutshell. It allows you to transfer private data in a decentralized manner without third parties obtaining access. And just to touch on the secondary security feature, the dead man switch, to basically prevent people from accessing your inheritance while you're still alive. So let's say everybody, like meaning your heirs, the beneficiaries, gather with the merge authority and try to initiate the plan prematurely while you're still alive. Well, if you were to set up both dead man activation switches, meaning the email activation method and the login method, and you said, let's say it took 30 days for you not to log in or respond to the email for that validated share to unlock and the beneficiaries to completely gain access to the inheritable data. Then, whenever they merge all those plan shares, if you respond to that email or log in because you get that notification, it's going to stop the process and everything's safe. So that's a little brief explanation on how we took secondary precautionary measures to ensure that nobody can gain access to your data because we are not custodians of any sort. We don't have any of your plan shares or data. It's all stored on the SafeKey devices or in the future, the Inherity mobile the devices using Inherity Mobile, and of course the backup shares on the blockchain if you choose to do that, because you can also decide to have the backup shares cold stored if you go the SafeKey device route, and then you opt to not do any backup shares while you're setting up the plan. And then after you're done setting up the plan, you log into the SafeKey desktop tool, plug in the safe keys, and then you can make the cold storage backups. And that's just if you don't want the backup shares stored on the blockchain, you want everything cold stored beside the validator share. It's at greater cost, but it's further protection. So I just want to throw that out there. But that's a lot on Inherity and essentially what is going to happen with the partnership and the integration. So now let's move on to what both ecosystems have for staking. So would you mind touching on the staking models that you have within VPunks and how people can potentially earn off of staking the VPU token?
Yeah, just a quick check if my microphone is still on because I had a battery low alert, so I just hooked it on the cable. I'm still okay?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay,
can hear you just fine.
perfect, thanks. Now, maybe before we take the staking part, because I introduced myself, Tyler, but I did not in detail introduce VPunks yet. Maybe shall we elaborate on that one first?
Yes, by all means. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So VPunks itself launched end of July, so we are now actually celebrating our 3 month anniversary. Now, also to clarify, I am not an official employee of VPunks. It's just that I've been with the project literally from day one, and I've seen a project with an awesome community that just built up on its own automatically. And as from the start, I've been very involved with that community. And in that way, we have established a very close link with the anonymous development team. And people might say, okay, an anonymous development team, can we really trust this? They did give us an insight. For example, it's the same development team that also won a very prestigious VChain development contest. So they have developed other widely used tools on the VChain ecosystem. So it's certainly not just two guys in a garage. They deliver super high quality, and they are very open to suggestions and critique. And so far, they've also delivered on time with an occasional day or two of delay, maybe. But I mean, if you work in IT, I'm right now working on a project that is 4 years late, so 2 days is really not an issue for me. So it's not classical IT here. And since I was always a big fan, of course, of the original CryptoPunks work, of the design, but there I was, of course, unfortunately too late to step in. But we do consider ourselves the version 2 of that NFT space, because we do have tiered minting. We have a marketplace that works a lot better than the original one of the CryptoPunks. The only item that for me was still missing, but where I can also announce that it will normally go live tomorrow, is indeed the offer functionality. When we launched the marketplace, we combined all the feedback that we got from the awesome community. We implemented a filter system so that it worked even better. And then we came up with the challenges, for example, the staking challenge that is now already in day 35. And of course, we have so much ahead of us on our roadmap. So I really saw an organically grown community behind this. And I can see it as well if I have a look at the Twitter space pictures right now. Half of you have a VPunk avatar. So I reckon that you are all big fans of the project as well, just like myself. Just also to touch a word upon that community part, because that's also for me one of the main reasons of the success of this project so far. We reached the 1,000 users very fast after a couple of weeks. We are now indeed at over 1,500. We had some really amazing events like the Metaverse Decentraland party, also for me an iconic item in this space, hosted by John. The lore of the VPunk stories. We have people like, I'm sorry if I forget any of your names, folks of the VPunk community, but we have Alex, we have Lord, and the rest of the Kick as the data team delivering us with awesome statistics. The organization, first on Telegram and now on Discord, Mr. Proper, who has some really cool bot programming skills. We could see that as well because a lot of other projects are trying to either adopt our tools or copy paste our tools there as well. We have Kila with his physical sticker Guerrilla War, where he is tagging indeed in the streets of Belgium VPunk stickers everywhere, Chess that created the virtual stickers. We had some very fun community-driven contests, celebrity VPunk lookalikes, the ugly punk election process, etc. The infographics by Satoshi that were indeed a very helpful guide in how to use the wallet, how can I actually obtain a punk, etc. And not to forget, in total, on those 3 months, we have easily given away over $150,000 in prize money to the community as well. So I just wanted to put that word out there as well.
That's awesome. I love seeing projects giving back to their community, because that's what basically is the main catalyst to growth. Whenever you give to your community, they just want to be involved that much more, and they can see the end goal and what you're really working towards. You're trying to create an ecosystem that everybody loves and that they could be rewarded in very handsomely. And that was a very nice explanation of the team, the background of VPunks. Thank you very much for that. Would you mind giving us some information about the staking and some of the APR, APY background?
Yeah, no problem. So staking was indeed one of those items that came very fast and promised as on the roadmap. That for me was indeed a diversification of a lot of other NFT projects. And so we indeed currently have 2 staking pools live. So the first one that went live was indeed a staking with an API of 30%. Which is an awesome amount. I mean, if you now look at what you get on your bank account, and that sold out very, very quickly. It's also one of the main reasons why currently a lot of VPunks are still in the minter's hands. almost 5,000 out of the 10,000 VPunks are still in the original owner's hand. And I think that the staking pool one is one of the main driving factors behind that, because indeed it locked up the VPU in the wallet with a very rewarding API coming out soon. So we are, I think, close to the end of the 3-month staking lockup period of that one. Then we had the second staking program with a 26% API, and that is actually still running. So if you still have some spare VPU and you have a VPunk, don't let it go to waste. Put it to work. It is 2 clicks, and you can just earn VPU for free just by having it in there. So certainly do not hesitate on doing that.
And you know, that's a really, really good stat that you just mentioned earlier about how many VPunks that people are still holding and they haven't even let go. It just goes to show you how much people see the value in these VPunks, and that just proves how much Inherity is needed, because everybody would hate to see the access of their VPunks just disappear whenever
Can
they're.
I? Yeah. Can I
Yeah,
shed
go
some
ahead.
light on that? Because indeed, we currently have 1,720 wallets holding VPunks, and that number keeps on growing each day. That is also one of the reasons why I like our data crew so much. They keep on showing us that this project is far from that. Wallets are added day by day. We have crossed the 10,000 sales mark, so we are at 10,442 sales yet already, for a total amount of 112 million VET. If you translate that, that is close to $15 million current market value. We have had the highest market sale at 1 million VET, and we have had 78 sales bigger than 100,000 VET. Now, why Inherity? Indeed, look at CryptoPunks. I think that there was a news article, Nebula, released a couple of days ago, where they found a dormant wallet of someone who apparently still holds 141 CryptoPunks, currently valued well over $16 million. And it's just there untouched. And indeed, people are thinking, after all this time, after everything that already came into the news about the hype and the Sotheby actions and all the attention, either this person is dead or this person has just lost access to that wallet. So that is indeed $16 million down the drain. Hence the importance indeed of digital inheritance.
Yeah, and that's great that you bring that up, because there's so many sad stories that have happened like that. Not to mention people who have just passed away without making a plan, or making it to where their private keys were accessible by their family. I mean, Matthew Mellon's a prime example of that. And I hate to bring people up like that, but you know, it's real, and it's stuff we got to talk about, because we got to take this serious. Because if not, then one day you might wake up and end up just like those people who lost access to their wallets, and nobody wants to see that happen. So that's a big reason of why we're always telling everybody about the solutions, and making sure that's available, answering questions. And if anybody ever has any questions about how to utilize our services, just feel free to join the Telegram. Um, send an email to our the info at safehaven.io. Just whichever way you need to get in contact with us, and we'll help y'all out. But yeah, thank you so much for that staking information. I'm going to give a little bit of information about our staking program, because in a matter of fact, it's opening on November 1st, and it will stay open until November 5th. It's always open between the 1st and the 5th for people to stake, and it starts at 4 p.m. UTC, and it closes at that same time on the 5th. So the way that our staking program works is we essentially have it set up to where even people who don't have a node, they can stake. And then the people who have nodes, they can enter, I guess you could call it a higher priority staking pool that allows you to get a better APR and stake more SHA. So let's just describe each pool. The non-node pool, you can stake up to 250,000 SHA for an APR of 1.5% starting off. And if all milestones are hit, it can go up to 3.5%. The Connect node, people can stake up to 400,000 SHA, and the starting APR is 2.5, which can go up to 4.5%. The Harbor node, people can stake up to 500,000 SHA, starting APR at 3.5, which can go up to a 5.5%. consensus node, everybody who has a consensus node can stake 750,000 SHA in that pool for 4.5% starting off, which can get up to 6.5%. And then the legacy nodes, they could stake up to 1.2 million SHA for a starting APR of 5.5%, which can get up to 7.5%. And just to reiterate on the nodes, all node holders can only stake excess SHA. And what I mean by excess is, let's take a connect node for an example. A connect node holder must have 1 million SHA on their wallet address. So if they want to stake 1.4, or if they want to stake the 400,000 SHA in the connect node pool, then they need 1.4 million SHA on their wallet address. And that's pretty much how it works. And all the staking pools are soft locked, so you can essentially pull out at any time. But if you pull out of the staking pool before the period's up, then you're not going to get any reward whatsoever. But that's how our staking pools work, and they're opening up really soon. So keep an eye out for that. Um, Now let's go on to our next topic. I wanted to talk a little bit about how VPunks could utilize Thorblock for decentralized fundraising and charity events in the future. And what I mean by in the future is we're going to essentially start adding support for tokens on our other platforms after we go through the listing procedure for SafeSwap. And that's going to be an extensive procedure, and it's going to take a lot of different things. And it's not guaranteed for each partner, but it's totally something that we want to implement. It just depends on whether or not it's feasible. And what I mean by that is whether or not everything works between both parties. But that's more so behind the scenes, and we can't really get into that. But yeah, so Thorblock, what essentially can it do for the community and VPunks itself? It's a platform to where people can establish pools that other people donate VIP 180 tokens such as VChain or VPU after the support is given. So that helps open up many different opportunities for them to run campaigns, kind of like what Bleepbot was saying earlier, how they had many um, cool events such as the celebrity VPunk, um, all, all the sticker events going around in everybody's local areas. Well, they can implement actual fundraising with events like that on Thorblock. And Bleepbot, did you want to say anything about Thorblock, or maybe have some ideas about what y'all could possibly do there?
Well, we wish we would have known about it before. So indeed, it solves the problem. It might not be a real problem right now, but indeed it solves it in a more professional way, because we had an organic community growing with people working behind the scenes. And I mean, I'm now chatting with the moderators, the community admins behind the scenes on an almost daily basis, and there is an extremely high level of trust between these people. Sometimes we even indeed exchange VPU, VPunks, etc., just like that, on a matter of trust and mutual respect. But indeed, we are still living in a real world. So far, nothing has gone wrong, luckily. But indeed, a solution like Torblock can indeed make sure that you manage, monitor, and have proper governance on that. So it is one of the solutions where I'm looking forward to very much to indeed implement, to indeed put an additional level of transparency, trust, and security on top of that. So we will certainly be a lot more in touch on that one, and looking forward to start implementing it indeed for future events.
Yeah, man, thank you for that. And one thing that I'd like to touch on is it'd be really interesting to see implementation of possible NFTs with the blog platform in the future. Now, that's not something that we can promise right away, and that's something that we'd have to thoroughly go through with the tech team. But I just want to talk about it because NFTs a hot buzz topic, and it's totally something that's in y'all's ecosystem. Like, let's take the Decentraland NFTs, for example. I remember back whenever y'all had some Decentraland glasses and hats, if I'm not mistaken, that y'all were giving out as prizes, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so you could possibly set up cool events that have NFTs being given to people who donate a certain amount. And I mean, like I said, all that has to be discussed with our tech team, and it's going to take time to implement such features. But if it's something that we see enough of our partners needing, like a service, then by all means, it's something that we need to implement. So, um, yeah, but that's the only other thing I really wanted to mention on ThorBlock, other than um, everybody needs to remember that BIMBlock is going to be coming right after SafeSwap. So right after SafeSwap launches, we're going to port BIMBlock. It's already been created. It's already ready. So everybody's going to be able to theoretically swap their VIP 180 tokens to a BEP20 format and go utilize BIMBlock if they want to use fundraising on the Binance Smart Chain instead of VChain if they wanted to, or vice versa. People who have BEP20 tokens can enter the VChain ecosystem and go cross chain and then go use StoreBlock and fundraise on VChain. So it's the best of both worlds, and it's not just limited to VChain and Binance Smart Chain. We're going to have the capability to enable access to the native VeChain, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, and Matic Network. So it's going to be very exciting. And as we expand our reach for SafeSwap and the reach for the partners who gain listing access, um, will go to other EVM chains. So it's going to be a very exciting year ahead of us because after SafeSwap launches, it's full speed ahead with a lot of things. Um, and yeah, that's about it on that. So
Yeah,
let's go on.
imagine indeed if we can open up to the original CryptoPunk holders in a very easy and transparent fashion. I think then we all know what that could do to the floor price. So looking forward to that. And now that we have indeed the first step in our partnership, let's further elaborate on that and indeed continue building it.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be amazing doing a lot of different things with the products within the Safe Haven product suite because there's so many different ways that we could collaborate with y'all and provide utility on those product platforms and allow both both ecosystems like VPunks and Safe Haven to benefit from the utilization of the platforms. So I love it. I think it's great, and that's why I want to head towards the talk of SafeSwap a little bit more. I kind of touched on it earlier about what SafeSwap's going to enable, but let me just solidify that. So the main problem with utility projects is they're limited to the chain that they're working on because for you to port a product to another chain, you need your utility token to essentially be usable on that chain. And the only way that that's possible is by incorporating cross chain technology in your ecosystem. So that's where the atomic swap protocols come into play. And that's why we built SafeSwap. And we saw that it's not only going to help us, but everybody that we partner with now and in the future. So it's very exciting and it's something that a lot of people should be thinking about because it, like I said, it's not just going to help Safe Haven enter new ecosystems with our products. It's going to help all the other partners that go through the listing application and whatnot. So yeah, just keep an eye out for SafeSwap because that is going to be launching quarter 4, pending. Well, no, we're firm on that. It's launching quarter 4, but as far as the date, as far as like what where in quarter 4, that's pending the news on the audit that we have going out right now. So but we're very confident that it's going to launch this quarter, and beta testing is going to commence maybe in about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit earlier. Um, I was talking with the tech team in our chat, and they said everything's looking good. It's looking closer, but it's not ready for beta testing yet. Not ready for everybody to start basically using their codes and start testing it. We've been testing it internally. Everything's going great, but we need to tweak a few more things before we open it up to our private beta testers. Um, so one more thing that I wanted to talk about as far as the products that VPunks could potentially use within the Safe Haven product suite is Fund Request. We haven't been talking about that a lot, mainly because we've been needing SafeSwap to finish. Because as I was mentioning earlier, we can't use products on different chains until our utility token is on that chain as well in another form of a token contract. So Yeah, Fund Request is going to debut on Binance Smart Chain, but we're also going to put it on the Ethereum network because we figured why not? SafeSwap's going to enable us to go Ethereum too. Why not target that as well? And if we see the need to port it to other EVM chains that are going to have support for SafeSwap, then we will. But just starting off, we're going to do Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. So, how does that benefit VPunks? Well, let's touch on what Fund Request is. That way, everybody can better understand how it benefits VPunks. Fund Request is an open source platform that enables projects or independent people to outsource development or code work. So that's essentially, let's say you have a token contract that you wanted to create, or a smart contract for a farming or staking pool that's going to go on your Web3 platform, or whatever it might be. It could be a time lapse smart contract, anything. You could essentially type out the description of what you need, the parameters, and then put the bid for whatever tokens are supported on the Fund Request platform. And then said viewers would be able to accept that bid and work on that project via GitHub, submit the contracts, well, really repositories when you're talking GitHub. And then after everything's done, the party gets paid, or the working party gets paid, the contractor, and then the person outsourcing the work gets the contract back, and it's faster development time for them. So it helps because smart smart contract developers, they're very expensive, and when it comes to hiring more employees, you're talking about a lot of overhead there. So when you have the capability just to outsource a contract for maybe a few grand and it comes out good, and you can spend a little bit extra money on getting some secure audits, then you're really happy. So, do you have any comments that you wanted to mention on that, Bleepbot?
Well, I have been following Fund Request for quite some time as well. I think they were officially acquired by you, that's correct?
Yes, yes, that's
Yep.
correct. We acquired them last year during early November.
I heard about them first a couple of years ago when they were indeed giving a keynote speech about what they were going to do and how were they going to revolutionize indeed the development code work base set. And I was very charmed with the concept, certainly indeed on because you have the problem that in the blockchain space, decent resources are still scarce to find. Making sure that you can put this in a decent contract with a commitment upfront, and where you indeed know that certain milestones have to be met in order to have a payment fulfilled or not, that you also have a reputation system behind it, etc., etc. I think it's very wise and cool project. It is still in early stages, if I understand correctly, but I am looking forward to how it indeed will evolve, and I think it will have a very bright future ahead of it. I've struggled with it as well in my real life job when we had to look indeed for skilled resources. Like you say, they're either extremely expensive, you can't do a decent background job. You indeed have little or no references whatsoever. So indeed, I think that they will revolutionize that, in particular for the blockchain development work. So I'm looking forward to that. Now for VPunk specifically, so far they've always been right on par with the roadmap, of course. As said, I am not part of the actual development team, but we'll certainly make sure that they get this information, that they know that this option exists, and maybe we can even dry run it in some way. Yeah? Because indeed, there is still so much ahead of the roadmap. If we could potentially speed it up in this way, well, it's at least worth to have a mature discussion on it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, by all means. And let me touch on something really quick because you brought up a good point about trusting the people that's basically going to be doing the contracts. And with it being connected to GitHub, you're going to be able to see all repositories, contracts, edits, work that they've done with that user profile. So that validates them in a sense, and you'll be able to see the comments, the feedback. So that's going to be very helpful when you're deciding whether or not you want to accept someone who's bidding on your request. And as far as whether or not the platform's ready, it's full ready to go. Everybody's been testing it in the background for a long time now. The only thing we've been waiting on is SafeSwap, to where we can enable the SHA token to go on Binance Smart Chain, because like I was saying earlier, we're not going to port any product that our utility token cannot be utilized in, because that is not fair to our ecosystem and node holders, because we promised utilization and that's what we're going to give. We have someone who wants to request, or who's requesting to speak. Oh wait, they just dipped out. Just oh, I guess he got tired of waiting. It was only like a couple seconds. But anyway, yeah, that's the little spiel on fun requests and how it's gonna enable a lot of revolutionary things within development and in not only safe haven, VPunks, but the whole blockchain space. Um, and that's pretty much everything that I had on the schedule to talk about for this session. Did you want to mention anything else that's possibly coming up that's interesting or exciting for VPunks while you have everybody here?
Well, I think I haven't talked enough about VPU token itself, and certainly in correlation with SafeSwap, it can potentially be a real big deal in the future. Because right now, indeed, VPU, okay, it's a token used for staking. You have indeed a liquidity mining that is active, but we will be activating it soon as well as a means of payment, so also to become a payment token. Of course, it will also go and join a very important role in the upcoming games. Now, I cannot share too much about the upcoming games. You'll just have to wait for that, but that will only just be the beginning. And indeed, VPU, it will create an entire ecosystem as a utility token. It will become a governance token on VPunks NFTs, on the VPunks marketplace, etc. And indeed, potentially with SafeSwap, it can open up a lot of barriers to the outside world. So looking forward to that.
And real quick to touch on the governance token aspect, um, I, I'm not trying to get anything out of you or spoil something, but I just got to ask while I have you here. If you can't answer, don't worry about it. Just say, "Nah, man, not today." But are people going to be able to have voting power with the VPU token as far as what you plan to do with the game whenever it launches, or just future staking pools if y'all plan to implement any future ones? I mean, I don't know if y'all are, because that's like very gracious. Y'all don't have to implement staking. Y'all aren't like a staking platform, but I'm just wondering like what the idea is behind that governance token, if you can give some insight behind that.
Well, that is indeed the purpose, but I do not have the exact roadmap on that, so I'm not going to give a lot more details. I also need to look into that, but indeed, it is supposed to indeed be a governance token, and for me, indeed, voting power for VPU holders would be a logical step for me. But I'm not 100% sure on that, nor when it will exactly be released. I thought that we were aiming for end of the year, but do not take my word on that like that.
You got it, man. You got it, 100%. And yeah, I wasn't trying to pry, just the governance term caught me. That's always a very unique term, and a lot of things are possible whenever you implement that in your ecosystem. And it helps keep the community happy in many ways, because they feel like they have a sense of direction in how the project's future is going to be, which also somewhat helps them protect their sense of value behind the NFTs that they hold. Because if they feel good about the future, then they're going to feel good about holding them. So, yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
Well, I have seen great projects with great potential failing indeed because they do not listen enough to the community. And indeed, this is for me one of the means where you can indeed give the voice to the community. But indeed, it will help us. But so far, and that's what I said in the beginning, we have plenty of examples like that. For example, the first staking pool, you had a minimum requirement to have 1,000 VPU in it. Now, of course, VPU came out rather cheap and as a gift as well to the ones that first minted the original VPunks, but the price skyrocketed quickly. And so we immediately got, of course, the comments from the people that were joining the VPunk community after a couple of weeks on, yeah, okay, but 1,000 VPU, that is a lot. And the community gave that as an input to the development team, and indeed for staking pool 2, we lowered it to 200 VPU, and it was a big success. So your community is everything. Without a community, you can have the greatest project, but it will be dead before you know it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And we at Safe Haven started recognizing more of what the community wanted to see, and we took those feedback and or that feedback into consideration, and that's why we released that roadmap. And we're going to be very firm with those dates. Anything that you see within that quarter, we intend to hit it. And sometimes don't be surprised if you see something from a quarter later be accomplished in a quarter earlier. So that's what the main purpose of that roadmap is. We're not trying to basically prolong anything or undershoot ourselves on pressure, but we're always going to put us in a position to where we know that we'll be able to deliver if we say we're delivering right then and there, and we might be able to deliver early. So we've got someone who wants to talk. All right, here we go. Hey, how's it going, Mr. XR people? Can you hear me? Are you on mobile or the computer? Because I don't think the speaker works if you're on the computer. You might have to leave, join on the mobile, and then come back. Looks like you left the stage for a minute.
While we wait until he rejoins, indeed, let me indeed also repeat indeed. So look out for it. Normally tomorrow our offer feature will come into play. For me, that will indeed be a very important indicator because I've been a collector since day one and I've tried to collect everything that I wanted to have. There are still some items missing in my collection. Knowing that half of the punks are still with the original owners, I am going to use the hell out of that offer functionality to indeed complete my collection. So I'm really looking forward to that. And don't forget indeed that our next staking pool will indeed come end of November, 26th of November, with as well more details on the new, even more limited NFT collection that will come for stakers in that pool. So look forward to that.
Yeah, that's very exciting, man. I love seeing collections come to life too. I myself am involved in a bunch of different NFT communities, and I know how it is whenever you're just one NFT away from fully collecting like a family or a group. It depends on the game, but you know what I mean. With punks, it's punks that have certain attributes, or maybe your first zombie, ape, or alien. An alien would be insane, but um, all right, enough rambling. Mr. XRP, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? And I just want to apologize. I'm a little bit off topic, but I'll kind of get right to it. So I have a Shea node, I have a Harbor node, and just maybe you can answer this question. Basically, when you click on there, it says that there's immediately available a 25% discount on subscription fees using safe haven platforms. Can you touch on what that is?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's not active right now, essentially because we don't have subscriptions enabled for Inheritee. And that's going to come when the standard and business upgrades are enabled, which are going to be monthly subscriptions to where if you have a subscription, you'll have access to our product suite in different ways. And all that information is going to be revealed through official Medium articles whenever we get towards that era of Safe Haven's progression, which I can see happening towards the late portion of 2022, because the reason why I'm saying that is after we finish inheriting mobile, that's the first part of the inheriting vault, which is what essentially needs to be completed to where we can finalize the standard and business edition. And when we complete the inheriting mobile um, application, that's going to handle the HashiCorp version of the Vault, and that'll allow us to move on to developing the Negotium Network version of the Inherity Vault, which will extend storage of decentralized documents, photos, videos, large data files, pretty much, on top of the standard decentralized inheritance and personal backup protocols already available on the community edition. So,
Okay.
but
So,
yeah,
so next quick next quick question. So the next thing down that you get by having a node is this 3-month tier where it says ongoing 8% rewards from the reward pool monitored by the SHA government. It looks like I'm only needing to wait 12 more days. And will I be able to claim this? And will I be getting SHA? And where will it automatically go?
Yeah, so let me touch on the utility rewards and explain how that works for our node ecosystem. Utility rewards are derived from the utilization, which basically just means people using our products. So when somebody creates an inheritance plan, whether it's an inheritance plan or a personal backup plan, on the community edition and they pay the 10,000 SHA, 50% of that goes to the foundation. And then 40% of that goes to the utility reward pool for nodes to share. So that 8% that you're seeing, you would get 8% of that 4,000 SHA, which would technically be around 3,999 point something SHA, because some of us got to account for the gas that's going through the smart contract and all. But anyway, getting back to it. So let's say you only had, let's say there were only 1,000, or let's say there were only like two, two harbor nodes, for example. Then they would both share that 8%. You know what I mean? But there's way more than two harbor nodes. There's around I want to say 100 and something, 150, maybe a little bit more. I don't
Okay,
know. I
so
forget.
not to interrupt you, but so like, is there a website where you can track all this stuff? So like, for instance, like the Songbird token is out, you can go to like flaremetrics.io. It tells you like the data providers. It tells you like kind of how big the pool is, and then you can kind of calculate what to expect from having your staking. Is there anything like that for the Shay where there's like a website that you can?
Hey, you're cutting out, but I heard the majority of your question. You're basically asking, is there anywhere that you could see where somebody could monitor the activity of the rewards and whatnot? And
Yes,
the answer is
yes.
yes. You can go to the VChain stats blockchain, and whenever you basically track the wallet address, then you could see the amount of SHA that's going inside of it. You know what I'm saying? Whenever plans are made, you'd be able to see the amount building up and whatnot. And
Okay.
in Telegram, if you go through the announcements, I think it was around April, if I'm not mistaken. That was whenever we had our first utility reward distribution. You'll be able to see all the smart contracts and the pools of where everything's basically held, like including where the burn goes to, because we've already had some burn. It's not a lot, but it's some. Hold on one second. Thomas is requesting to speak. And you can also go to our node stats page, which will show how many nodes we have activated right now, how many are upgrading, how much SHA are on node addresses, and how much SHA is soft locked within nodes itself.
Can I ask you for that web address just so I can save it in my notes?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go to my
Keep
notes right
keep in
quick.
mind keep in mind that all of these things can be easily kind of answered in our Telegram if you just join into Safe Haven's Telegram. That way, we're not. We don't want to get too far into our model. We also want to make sure that we're respecting everybody else's time. These are all questions that can be easily answered through a chat function. So I'm just going to kind of speak and say that we want to make sure that we're considering. There's a lot of data and there's a lot of stuff that we have out on our website. You can go to safehaven.io. And most of that is there, including recent payouts, staking, node aspects. All of that stuff is already there. So I would redirect those type of questions specific to Safe Haven and your specific node back to the Telegram. All right.
But yeah, thank you for asking those questions, man. It's it's that's pretty much how everything functions in the ecosystem. Um, Bleep Bop, did you have anything else that you wanted to cover?
Not on VPunks, just indeed adding that I've been a happy safe node staker as well, and the progress is extremely simple. So you do enough of communication on your social channels, and indeed the first of the month, I'm one of the first to start clicking indeed to join the next node program. So collecting your rewards is 2 clicks, joining the new one is 2 clicks, and 2 clicks to get some additional free SHA. You cannot say no to that. And the address is indeed stats.safenode.io.
Thank you for that, man. And that's about everything that I have on my end as well for this Twitter space. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today and listening to what we had to say. And special thank you to Bleepbot for joining and giving some insight behind the VPunks ecosystem.
Let me also thank the entire VPunk family that seems to be present in here, because they seem to be with a lot. So thanks a lot for the support, guys.
Well, y'all have a wonderful day, and on that note, I'm going to end it right here. Y'all let us know if y'all have any questions, and if you have any specific questions for VPunks, go look at their Discord. They have migrated fully over to Discord. They've got a wonderful channel, a lot of different separate groups within that Discord channel. Very organized, easy to see everything, a lot of different topics. Everybody's very friendly. And yeah, that's about it. Y'all have a wonderful day.